Claire found out her husband was cheating with her sister because of 2 pillows. Not a text message, not a hotel receipt, not lipstick on his shirt, just 2 pillows on their bed turned the wrong way. Every morning before work, Claire made that bed exactly the same way. The openings of the pillowcases always faced the outside edges. So when she came home one evening and found 2 pillows facing inward, she knew someone had been in that bed. And when her husband looked her in the eyes and said she must have remembered wrong, something inside her went cold. Claire Miller grew up in a small Missouri town where people waved from their porches, church parking lots filled up on Sundays, and family reputation mattered more than the truth. Her husband, Ryan, had been married to her for 6 years. They had a modest house outside street, Louis a shared savings account, and the kind of marriage people called stable. Ryan worked as a department manager at a logistics company. Claire worked later hours at a dental office, usually getting home around 7. Their schedules were not perfect, but Claire believed they were happy. She had loved Ryan since she was 21, and she thought he had chosen her for life. Then her younger sister Brooke came back home. Brooke had lived in Florida since she was 18. She only came back for Christmas, and even then she never stayed long. She was pretty dramatic, charming, and used to being rescued. Growing up, Brooke was their mother's golden child. If Brooke needed dance costumes, private lessons, or hotel rooms for competitions, 3 states away their parents found the money. If Claire asked for $50 for a basketball camp at the local community college, her mother acted like Claire was asking her to build a private arena. Their father never protected Claire from any of it. He was not cruel in a loud way. He was worse in a quiet way. He agreed with their mother no matter what she said. If their mother said Claire was jealous, he nodded. If their mother said Brooke needed support, he nodded. His silence shaped the family more than any argument ever did. So, when Brooke returned from Florida with 2 suitcases, no job, and a story about her boyfriend cheating and leaving her broke, Claire should have stayed out of it. But she didn't. Brooke cried at their parents' kitchen table and said she felt humiliated. Their mother looked at Claire like helping Brooke was her responsibility. Against her better judgment, Claire asked Ryan if his company had any openings. Ryan said he could put in a word. 2 weeks later, Brooke had a job in his department. At first, Claire thought she had done something good. Brooke started coming over for dinner. She brought wine, helped clear plates, and acted like she wanted them to finally become close. Claire wanted to believe that. Maybe they were adults now. Maybe the old favoritism could stay in the past. But slowly, something changed. Brooke and Ryan started having conversations Claire could not enter. They had office jokes, private looks, and little comments that made them laugh, while Claire stood there feeling like a guest in her own kitchen. Whenever she asked what was funny, Brooke would smile and say, "It's just a work thing." Then Brooke started being at Claire's house before Claire got home. Ryan worked normal office hours. Claire worked later. So when Claire walked in around 7, Brooke would already be there sitting at the kitchen island with her laptop open or curled up on the couch like she belonged there. Ryan always had the same explanation. They had work to finish. They were on a project. It was easier to talk at the house than at the office. Claire told herself she was being insecure. Brooke was her sister. Ryan was her husband. Decent people did not do things like that. But decent people do not make someone question her own sanity. The pillow incident happened on a Thursday. Brooke had been over before Claire got home. She stayed for dinner, laughed too loudly at Ryan's stories, hugged Claire before she left, and drove back to their parents' house. Later that night, when Claire and Ryan went upstairs, Claire saw the pillows. 2 of them had been moved and remade. Like someone had tried to put the bed back together, but did not know her habit. Claire asked Ryan if he had been lying down that day. He paused just long enough for her stomach to tighten. Then he said no. Claire told him the bed was different. Ryan gave a small laugh and said she must have made it that way in the morning. She told him she hadn't. His face changed for 1 second. Then he said, "Claire, nobody was in our bed." That night, after Ryan fell asleep, Claire checked his phone and laptop. She found nothing. No texts, No photos, no secret messages. Somehow that made it worse. Ryan and Brooke worked together all day. They saw each other before Claire got home. Why would they need to text? 2 weeks later, Claire's parents invited everyone over for Sunday dinner. Everything seemed normal until Ryan walked past Brooke near the hallway. Brooke reached out and touched his arm like it was natural. Ryan stopped. Brooke leaned in and whispered something. Their foreheads touched for 1 second. Then Ryan pulled away quickly. Brooke looked across the room and saw Claire watching, and she smiled. Not like she was embarrassed, not like she was sorry. She smiled like she wanted Claire to know. That night, Claire booked a weekend trip for Ryan and herself to Kansas City. She told him they needed time away, just the two of them. Ryan agreed. But Claire was not planning a romantic getaway. She was planning to ask her husband one question. And deep down, she was terrified he would finally tell her the truth. The drive to Kansas City felt longer than it really was. Ryan kept one hand on the steering wheel and the other near the gear shift close enough that Claire could have reached for it if she wanted to. Normally, she would have. On short road trips, they had little habits. They stopped for gas station coffee. They argued over music. Ryan teased her for packing too much, and Claire teased him for acting like he knew the road better than the GPS. But that Friday evening, the car was too quiet. Every mile away from Street Charles felt like Claire was carrying a question she was terrified to ask. She had booked a hotel near the plaza, the kind of place with soft lights in the lobby, polished floors, and couples arriving with weekend bags like they were escaping ordinary life for something romantic. Ryan smiled at the front desk clerk. He carried their bags upstairs. He kissed Claire's cheek in the elevator. For a few hours, she almost convinced herself she had been wrong. They went to dinner at a busy steakhouse, where the tables were close together and the waiter called them folks every time he checked on them. Ryan ordered her favorite wine without asking. He reached across the table and held her hand. He told her she looked beautiful. That was the cruelest part. He could still act like her husband. After dinner, they walked under the warm city lights, passing restaurants, boutiques, and couples taking pictures near the fountains. Ryan talked about work, about repainting the guest room, about maybe taking a real vacation in the summer. Claire nodded at the right moments, but her mind kept returning to Brooke's smile across their parents' living room. That smile followed her through dinner. It followed her into the hotel. It followed her even when Ryan fell asleep beside her, like nothing had changed. The next morning, Claire woke up before him. The room was quiet, except for the air conditioner humming softly. Sunlight slipped through the curtains in thin gold lines. Ryan slept on his side, his face calm and familiar. Claire stared at him and remembered every version of him she had loved. The man who brought her soup when she had the flu. The man who cried at their wedding. The man who had promised in front of everyone they knew that he would protect their marriage. She sat on the edge of the bed for nearly 20 minutes before he woke up. Ryan smiled when he saw her. Morning. Claire did not smile back. Her voice was quiet. Are you having an affair with Brooke? The smile vanished. That was the answer before he said a word. Ryan sat up slowly and rubbed both hands over his face. For 1 second, Claire thought he might deny it. A part of her almost wanted him to. She wanted him to call her crazy again, to give her something to fight against. But instead, his eyes filled with tears, and he whispered, Claire, I'm sorry. Her body went numb. That's not an answer. He looked down at the blanket. Yes, pain did not hit her like screaming. It hit her like silence. Claire heard a door close somewhere down the hallway. She saw dust floating in the sunlight. She noticed the suitcase near the chair. Her mind grabbed onto useless details because the truth was too big to hold all at once. She asked how long it had been going on. Ryan said he did not know exactly when it became physical. He said they had gotten close at work. He said Brooke understood him. He said it was not planned. He said it just happened as if betrayal were bad weather and he had only forgotten an umbrella. Then Claire asked the question she already knew the answer to. Did you bring her into our bed? Ryan closed his eyes. Claire stood up, grabbed her purse, and walked out. Ryan followed her into the hallway, saying her name in a low, desperate voice, but she did not turn around. She did not scream. She did not throw anything. She went downstairs, got in her car, and drove back to Street Charles alone. She had no suitcase, no makeup bag, no change of clothes, just her purse, her phone, and a pain so deep it felt unreal. By the time Ryan came home, it was late afternoon. He must have taken an Uber or rented a car. He brought her suitcase inside and set it near the front door like that was supposed to prove he still had some decency. Then he started apologizing. He said he loved her. He said he was confused. He said he never meant to destroy them. Claire stood in the living room and looked at him, really looked at him. The man she loved was not standing there anymore. Maybe he had never been exactly who she thought he was. Ryan packed a bag that night and left for a hotel. The next morning, Claire went to her parents' house. She expected shock. She expected anger on her behalf. She expected her mother for once to choose her. Instead, her mother looked tired. That was when Claire knew. "You already knew," Claire said. Her mother glanced toward her father. He looked down at his coffee mug. Then her mother sighed and said, "We knew something had happened." Something. That was what she called Brooke sleeping with Claire's husband in Claire's own home. Claire asked where Brooke was. Her mother said Brooke had left the night before and might not be back for a few days. Her voice had that soft, careful tone people use when they are trying to manage a difficult child. Except Claire was not the difficult child. She was the daughter whose life had just been set on fire. Claire looked at her father. "Do you have anything to say?" He shifted in his chair, cleared his throat, and said, "I think your mother is handling this the best she can." That was the moment Claire stopped feeling like their daughter. The divorce moved quickly after that. At first, Ryan said Claire could keep the house and the savings. Guilt, probably. A few days later, he changed his mind and wanted the house split. Claire did not need proof to know Brooke had been whispering in his ear. Before the paperwork was even finished, Brooke moved in with Ryan. Then Brooke posted a picture online. Her and Ryan in a sunny park, his arms wrapped around her, kissing her cheek. The caption said she was finally feeling loved, and she tagged Claire. An hour later, Brooke sent a message pretending it had been an accident. She said no hard feelings. She said Claire would find her soulmate someday too. Claire blocked her. Then she blocked Ryan. Then she blocked her parents after her mother said Brooke deserved happiness too. Within 3 months, the house was on the market. Claire packed what was left of her life into boxes and made a decision nobody in her family knew about. She was leaving Missouri. And this time, she was not telling them where she was going. Moving to Minnesota did not feel brave at first. It felt like running. Claire sold the house in Missouri, packed what remained of her life into a rented SUV, and drove north without a goodbye dinner, without one last family meeting, and without giving anyone her new address. She told only 2 close friends and 1 cousin she still trusted. Everyone else could wonder. After years of being expected to forgive, understand, and stay quiet, disappearing felt like the first honest choice she had made for herself. She found a small apartment outside Minneapolis. It was nothing impressive. The kitchen cabinets were old, the bathroom fan was loud, and the living room window faced a snowy parking lot half the year. But it was hers. No Brooke laughing in her kitchen. No Ryan lying in her bed. No mother telling her that her pain was inconvenient. For the first few months, Claire worked, came home, heated frozen dinners, and watched crime shows until she fell asleep on the couch. Peace, she learned, could feel lonely before it felt safe. Therapy helped more than she expected. At first, she hated the idea of sitting in a quiet office and explaining how her husband and sister had broken her life apart. She thought therapy was for people who could not function, and she was functioning. She got up. She paid bills. She answered emails. She smiled when people asked how she was. But her therapist told her something that stayed with her. Surviving quietly did not mean the pain was small. That sentence opened something in Claire. For the first time, she stopped trying to prove she was fine. Dating was even harder. About a year after moving, Claire went on one first date with a man who spent most of dinner complaining about his ex-wife and correcting the way she pronounced Italian food. By the time she got home, she decided she would rather grow old with houseplants than sit through another evening like that. For a while, she meant it. She was done giving anyone enough access to hurt her. Then she met a man who was nothing like Ryan. He was a chef in his late 30s, who co-owned a restaurant and bar with his twin brother. Claire first met him when a coworker dragged her out for dinner after work. The restaurant was warm, busy, and loud in a comforting way. The chef came out from the kitchen to check on a table, and Claire's coworker shamelessly told him that Claire was new in town and needed better meals than frozen pasta. He laughed, but not in a way that made Claire feel small. It was easy, kind. Over time, that restaurant became one of Claire's safe places. The chef was patient with her. He did not push when she avoided personal questions. He did not act wounded when she needed space. His family worked around the restaurant too. His brother managed the bar. Cousins helped with private events. His parents stopped by often bringing homemade desserts or advice nobody asked for. At first, that kind of closeness made Claire nervous. Family had never meant safety to her, but with them, it slowly began to. 4 years after leaving Missouri, Claire got engaged. The proposal happened on a snowy night after the restaurant closed. There was no crowd, no public spectacle, no pressure. Just the two of them in the empty dining room, soft lights glowing over the bar chairs stacked on tables, and the smell of bread still lingering from the kitchen. When he asked, Claire said yes before he had finished the sentence. For the first time in years, the future did not feel like something waiting to punish her. Then Ryan found her. Claire came home from work one Thursday and saw him standing outside her apartment building. He wore a nice coat and polished shoes, like he had carefully chosen the version of himself he wanted her to see. He looked older but not ruined. That annoyed her more than she expected. He looked like a man preparing for a reunion, not a man who had destroyed his marriage and followed his ex-wife across state lines. Claire stopped several feet away. "What do you want?" Ryan's face softened into the expression she used to fall for. Regretful eyes, tight jaw, a careful voice. "I just want to talk." "No. Please. Brooke and I are divorcing." Claire almost laughed. "Congratulations. You finally caught up." Ryan swallowed hard. He said Brooke had cheated on him. More than once. He said she had been seeing married men behind his back. He said he knew he deserved it, but finding out had made him understand how badly he had hurt Claire. He said he did not expect her to take him back. He only wanted closure. There it was. He had not come because he had grown. He had come because the woman he chose had done to him what he had done to Claire, and now he wanted the comfort of being understood. Claire stared at him for a long moment. "You need closure." "I don't. I got mine the day I left Missouri." His face tightened. "Claire, we were married. And you brought my sister into our bed." Ryan had no answer for that. Claire stepped closer, calm now, in a way that surprised even her. She told him he did not get forgiveness, comfort, or a place in her new life. He had made his choice, and the consequences belonged to him. Then she went inside and called her landlord, an older woman, who knew enough about Claire's past to understand immediately. Within minutes, the landlord's 2 nephews were downstairs, telling Ryan he was not welcome on the property, and that police would be called if he returned. Claire hoped that would be the end of it. It was not. The next evening, Ryan walked into the restaurant and sat at Claire's table as if he had been invited. It was a slow Tuesday, so everyone noticed. Her fiancé came over, recognized Ryan, and calmly asked Claire if she wanted him removed. Claire looked at Ryan and said, "Not yet. I have one question." Ryan looked hopeful, which almost made the moment funny. Claire asked what had happened to Brooke. Ryan admitted she had moved back in with their parents after the divorce fell apart. For the first time in years, Claire felt nothing but relief. She nodded and said, "That is all I wanted to know. He can leave now." Ryan started to protest, but her fiancé stepped beside him and pointed toward the door. The bartender, 2 servers, and the chef's brother were all watching. Ryan stood embarrassed and smaller than Claire remembered, then walked out. When he was gone, her fiancé sat across from her and took her hand. Claire looked around the restaurant at the people who had chosen to protect her without asking for anything in return, and for the first time she truly understood. Blood had made her a target. Love had given her a family. For a while, after Ryan disappeared from Claire's life again, everything was quiet. Not perfect, because life was never perfect, but quiet in a way she had once prayed for. She married her chef fiancé the following spring in a small backyard ceremony behind his parents' house. There were white folding chairs on the grass, warm string lights hanging from the trees, and a long buffet table filled with food from the restaurant. His grandmother cried before Claire even walked down the aisle. His parents hugged her like they had been waiting years to call her family. Claire remembered standing there in a simple dress, looking at the man in front of her and thinking this was what love was supposed to feel like. Not dramatic, not desperate, not something she had to beg for. Safe. A year later, their first son was born. He had his father's dark hair and Claire's stubborn little frown. The first time Claire held him, something inside her settled. 2 years after that, their second son arrived, loud, hungry, and furious about being born. By then, Claire worked part-time as the office manager for the restaurant business. Her husband, his twin brother, and one of their cousins had opened a second location, and their life became busy, messy, loud, and beautiful. The family Claire married into loved in ordinary ways, which somehow made it feel extraordinary. Her mother-in-law brought casseroles without making a speech about sacrifice. Her father-in-law fixed things around the house without keeping score. Her husband's grandmother called every Sunday evening to ask what the boys had eaten, as if that was the purest measure of whether a home was happy. Claire had never realized how hungry she had been for simple kindness until people gave it freely. Then, after her first son was born, her mother found her. The first message came through a new social media account. The profile picture was old, probably taken before everything had fallen apart. The message sounded exactly like Claire expected. Half apology, half lecture. Her mother said she had been thinking about her. She said life was short. She said family should not stay broken forever. Then she asked if she could see her grandson. Claire stared at those words for a long time. Her grandson. Not Claire's child. Not the little boy her mother had never earned the right to know. Her grandson, as if blood alone gave her a key to a door she had helped burn down. Claire almost ignored it. She should have. But motherhood had changed something in her. She could tolerate a lot when it was aimed at her. She could not tolerate anyone trying to claim her children. So Claire replied once. She told her mother she did not have grandchildren. She told her she was no longer her daughter, and her children were not part of that family. Then Claire blocked her. More accounts appeared after that. Sometimes her father's name showed up. Sometimes distant relatives sent messages that sounded too polished to be sincere. Claire deleted every request. She did not answer. She did not argue. Silence became her fence, and she kept it locked. Years passed. Her oldest son started kindergarten. Her youngest learned how to climb out of bed and cause trouble before breakfast. The restaurant business grew. Claire let herself believe the past had finally run out of ways to reach her. Then the messages changed. They became more urgent, more emotional. Her mother said she missed her. Her father said he wanted to make things right before it was too late. Then Brooke reached out herself for the first time in years. Her messages were short and strange. She said she needed to talk. She said it was important. She said she knew she had done terrible things, but she hoped Claire would give her one conversation. For 3 weeks, the messages kept coming. Claire ignored them at first. Then curiosity got the better of her. Not forgiveness, not love, curiosity. Something was wrong, and she wanted to know what had finally made them remember she existed. Claire agreed to one video call. Just her. No husband, no children. No second chance disguised as a reunion. When the call connected, her mother was sitting at the old kitchen table in Missouri. Her father sat beside her, older and smaller than Claire remembered. Brooke was there too, wearing a gray sweatshirt, her hair pulled back, her face pale in a way makeup could not hide. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Claire's mother started crying. She said they were sorry. She said mistakes had been made. Brooke wiped her eyes and said she wished she could have her sister back. Their father cleared his throat and said he should have spoken up years ago. It all sounded rehearsed, like they had practiced it around that same kitchen table, until every line felt almost believable. Claire listened without reacting. When her mother finished talking about forgiveness, healing, and family, Claire said, "Is that all? Because if it is, I'm going to go." That was when the performance cracked. Brooke leaned toward the camera, panic flashing across her face. "Please, Claire, wait." Their mother grabbed a tissue and looked directly at Claire. "Your sister is sick." Claire said nothing. "She has kidney disease," her mother continued. "It's gotten worse. The doctors say she needs a transplant." The room around Claire seemed to go still. Brooke started crying harder. She said she needed a donor. She said the doctors told her a family member had the best chance of matching. And there it was. Not love, not regret, not a sudden longing for reconciliation. They had not come looking for Claire because they missed her. They had come looking for her body. Claire let out a slow breath. "So that's why you called." "Brooke took my husband, and now she wants one of my kidneys too." Her mother's face hardened. "Do not be cruel. This is life or death." "For whom?" Claire asked. "Because when my life fell apart, none of you cared." For once, her father spoke. He said they knew they had handled things badly, but medical bills were piling up. Brooke could not work much. He and Claire's mother were getting older, and they were behind on the house. They needed Claire to come back to Missouri and get tested. And if she could help financially, even a little, it would mean so much. Claire laughed once quietly. "So you need my kidney and my money." Brooke sobbed into her hands. "Please, I don't want to die." Claire looked at all three of them on the screen. The mother who had excused everything, the father who had hidden behind silence, the sister who had smiled after destroying her marriage. Then Claire said she needed time to think, and ended the call. That night, after the video call ended, Claire sat in the dark kitchen for a long time. The house was quiet. Her husband had taken the boys upstairs earlier, and the only sound left was the soft hum of the refrigerator. A cold cup of tea sat untouched in front of her. She kept hearing her sister's voice in her head, trembling through the laptop screen, saying she did not want to die. When her husband came downstairs, he did not ask too many questions at first. He simply sat across from her and waited. Claire told him everything: the sudden apologies, the tears, her sister's illness, her parents being behind on the house. The way they had wrapped their desperation in the word family, as if that word still had any power after what they had done. Her husband listened quietly. When Claire finished, he reached across the table and took her hand. "Whatever choice you make," he said, "I'm with you. But make sure it's your choice. Not theirs. Not guilt. Not fear. Yours." For the next few days, Claire researched kidney donation until her eyes burned. She read about testing, surgery, recovery, long-term risks, donor rights, and the emotional process that came with it. One thing became clear very quickly. Nobody could force a person to donate. Not parents. Not doctors. Not a desperate sister. Not guilt dressed up as morality. Claire's body was still hers. She told her former family she would get the first test done in Minnesota. She made it clear that she was not promising anything. Her mother cried with relief anyway, as if the answer had already become yes. Brooke sent a message filled with hearts and called Claire her big sister again. Claire stared at those words for a long time. Brooke had not used that kind of sweetness since childhood, and even then only when she wanted something. A week later, the results came back. Claire was a perfect match. She read the message twice, then a third time. For a moment, she felt something she could not name. It was not joy. It was not revenge exactly. It was the cold realization that after a lifetime of being treated like the less important daughter she had, become the one person they could not replace. When Claire told them her mother nearly broke down on the phone, Brooke cried so loudly Claire had to move the phone away from her ear. Her father kept saying thank God over and over, as if heaven had personally handed them Claire's body. They wanted her to come back to Missouri immediately. They talked about doctors, schedules, paperwork, and then, of course, money. Her father mentioned the mortgage again. Her mother said that if Claire could help everyone get stable, Brooke's recovery would be easier. Claire almost hung up. Instead, she bought a plane ticket. Her husband offered to go with her. His mother offered to help with the boys. His brother joked that he could come along and stand in the corner looking intimidating. Claire loved them for it, but she said no. This was something she needed to finish by herself. Not because she was alone anymore, but because she finally was not. Her real family would be waiting when she came home. Street Charles looked smaller than she remembered. The streets were the same. The houses were the same. The grocery store, the church, the quiet neighborhoods with American flags on porches, all of it looked frozen in time. But Claire was not the woman who had left. She checked into a hotel instead of staying with her parents. Her mother acted hurt when she found out, but Claire did not care. She had no interest in sleeping under the roof where they had chosen Brooke over her again and again. By the time Claire arrived at the hospital, Brooke had already been admitted. She looked worse in person. Her face was pale, her wrists thin, her eyes tired in a way makeup could not hide. For 1 second, Claire felt a small flicker of pity. Illness had a way of making even cruel people look harmless. But pity was not the same as forgiveness. The transplant team met with them in a private room first. The doctors explained the process carefully. They talked about surgery, recovery time risks, and timing. Then, one doctor said what everyone wanted to hear. Claire was an unusually strong match. Finding another donor this compatible would be difficult, and Brooke's condition was serious. Claire's mother reached over and squeezed Claire's arm like she belonged to her again. Claire gently removed her hand. Then she said, "I'd like Brooke to hear this too." They all went back to the hospital room. Brooke was sitting up in bed watching Claire with wet, hopeful eyes. Their mother stood beside her like she was already imagining the story she would tell everyone back home. The story where both daughters came together, where love healed everything, where nobody had to mention why Claire had disappeared in the first place. The doctor repeated the most important details. Claire was a perfect match. Time mattered. The sooner a donor agreed, the better Brooke's chances would be. When the doctor finished, the room became painfully quiet. Claire walked to Brooke's bedside and took her hand. Brooke's fingers were cold. "You heard him," Claire said softly. "I'm a perfect match." Brooke nodded through tears. "Claire, thank you. I knew deep down you still loved me." Claire looked at her for a long moment. She thought about the pillows, the smile across the living room, the public photo with Ryan. The message pretending no harm had been done. She thought about her mother saying Brooke deserved happiness too. She thought about her father looking into his coffee instead of defending her. Then Claire let go of Brooke's hand. "I'm not donating." The room froze. Brooke's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Their mother stood so fast her chair scraped against the floor. "Claire, don't do this," her mother said. "I already did," Claire replied. "I came here so there would be no misunderstanding." "My answer is no." Brooke began to sob. She said she was scared. She said she did not want to die. Claire kept her voice steady. "Then I hope you find another donor. But it will not be me." Her father finally spoke. "After everything, you would really walk away?" Claire turned to him. "You taught me how. You walked away from me my whole life without ever leaving the room." Her mother called her bitter, cruel, heartless. She said family was supposed to sacrifice. Claire almost smiled. "No," she said. "Family is supposed to love you before they need something." Then she walked out. No one chased her down the hallway. No dramatic miracle happened. The world did not stop. Claire simply left the hospital, got into her rental car, and drove away from Street Charles for the last time. When she landed back in Minnesota, her husband was waiting at the airport with both boys. The oldest ran into her arms first. The youngest followed holding a crooked little sign with no words, just a messy drawing of their family. That was when Claire finally cried. Not because of Brooke, not because of her parents, not because of the life she had lost. She cried because she had made it home, her real home,